What is a leader on a mission? A leader on a mission is someone who has a passion for unlocking capital and creating impactful solutions for African startups. Welcome to another inspiring episode of Meaningful Work, Meaningful Life podcast, the show that empowers you to redefine the life and live your best life now. I'm your host, Francine Belly, and in this season 10, we are delving into the themes of Leader on a Mission, where we explore the personal journeys, impactful work of visionary leaders who are making a difference in the world. Today, my guest is Ghita Zniber, the co-founder of Kalys Ventures, a venture capital firm that is doing amazing work supporting African startups. What struck me in our conversation is how deeply committed Ghita is to making a meaningful impact, not just in business, but in the lives of people around her. Rita's mission is defined by her commitment to helping others, whether through venture capital investment or personal mentorship. She shared her journeys from realizing that she was more passionate about helping others rather than leading her own startup to embracing her role as first follower, a concept I think will resonate with many of you. We also dug into her values and how they guide her decisions, both personally and professionally. So, whether you are an entrepreneur, a leader, or just someone searching for your true path, I think you'll find Rita's story both inspiring and empowering. Let's go. Hi, Rita. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Francine. Thanks for having me and thanks for this intro.
Yeah, thank you for accepting this interview. It's been 5 years, or I think yes, 5 years that we first met. At back in Montreal, way
Yeah,
before COVID started,
it's
and
always a good thing.
inspired already about what you were doing at the time, and now how you have evolved everything into the venture capitalist that you're going to tell us in a moment. But before that, though, tell me about your background and what did you want to do when you grew up?
So thank you. Thanks, Francine. And I think that we will have the time to talk a little bit more about, as you said, venture capital. And when we met in 2019 in Montreal, at the time I was also like I was a founder. And then like during the journey when I discovered what I liked and what I wanted to achieve, I understood that I was more, like passionate and driven by helping entrepreneurs than by leading a journey myself. So I wanted to give more to a lot of entrepreneurs, and that's how I ended up in venture capital. But before that, so I did 2 years of preparatory classes in Morocco, and then I went to France for a business school called EM Lyon. And then like during my 4 years at EM Lyon, where I decided to specialize more and more in entrepreneurship and strategy consulting and venture capital, I decided to do like a program in Shanghai in East China University in international business. And then I also went to UC Berkeley for also another program around venture capital and entrepreneurship. So that's what I did very good, briefly in terms of background. I spent some time within enterprises, big ones, like big ones in France and others in consulting firms. Before like deciding to build my own journey and start entrepreneurship myself and end up in venture capital.
Wow, I love that. And I love what I love about your background is that diversity of different things that you did at the beginning. You're still young, but you did quite different things. And the fact that also you say that you actually realize that you are like much more like a generalist, somebody who love doing different things. And instead of taking your own journey and becoming an entrepreneur, you very much realize that you actually need to support those entrepreneurs. So I wish that I had your insight. If I can reverse the time, you have saved me a lot of time myself as well, because realizing this at this early age that, wow, okay, I love entrepreneurship, I love everything, love the ecosystem. However, me myself, because I love so many things, I'm
Yeah.
not going to be a good entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
I better find my sweet spot within the ecosystem. That is really, really amazing. I love that. How did you realize that? Which one moment? Because, when you go through those business school as well, one of the big goals they tell you is to become an entrepreneur. But how did you realize that actually, no, I'm not going to be entrepreneur myself, but instead be like in the ecosystem supporting them?
That's a very good question, Francine, and I'm really happy that you asked this question because I think that you know one of the things that I like to talk about is really how I ended up like deciding to do venture capital. It wasn't just seeing some people that were role models for me, say like seeing them successful and being in venture capital. It's like, okay, this is what I want to do. No, I never knew what I wanted to do. So during this whole process, I was really afraid of not knowing what I want to do because, like you see everyone wanting to be doctors, engineers, all your friends deciding, like being very convinced about what they want to build. And I was afraid because I didn't want to be graduated before knowing what I want to do.
Mm,
So I told myself that during like 2 years, right after integrating EM Lyon, during 2 years, I will take a lot of missions, right? Like pro bono missions, just giving my time and discovering, like being curious of discovering different areas of work, right? So marketing, finance, and then like when I was doing it with the idea of like having also some conclusions, like not
yes.
doing it in a very passive way, but I wanted to see like how like what was the level of interest that I had in this or that industry. So by the time after the 2 years, there's one thing that I was sure about, is that I was a generalist. But when you're a generalist, that's when you're aware of the fact that you're a generalist, it's a hard thing to embrace because you
Mm,
feel
yeah.
like
Yeah.
you have no place in a very specific area, and that people like won't be able to see your exact value in a specific area of industry. But then when I was in China, and I can remember three main important points that helped me understand what I know today. So the first one, I was in China. I had a class in venture capital again and entrepreneurship, and there was a professor that was himself a generalist, and like he really helped me embrace being journalist, and also making it like more like more like we are, like it's a bless to be a journalist.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it's a bless to know how to be a journalist, because when you have this ability to come in a project, you know, like, and not just be looking at this very specific point, you know, like you want to understand this problem from all the perspectives, you know, like from the marketing team, from the logistics team, from the financial team. That's powerful, you know, like this ability to have the 360 degrees visibility on the whole problem. That's power. And then the moment you understand that it's more a blessing, that something you should you know, like you know, like you're like, no, I don't want to be a journalist, I want to be a specialist, and I want for people to really you know, like claim, let's say, what I will have as an impact, but for this very specific area of industry. So yeah, so that was very like life changing for me when I understood that being a journalist was a power. First, that's the first thing. Second thing is that so between China and the US, in the meantime, I had two entrepreneurship journeys that I experienced myself. I learned a lot of things from them. Some, like, I won't call them, I mean, it's good to call them failures, but I like to call them more like learnings, because I think
Yes,
that
of course, yes.
if I was,
Because you learn quite a lot during this journey. You know,
I
of course, it's a
learned,
learning.
yeah, I learned a lot from different you know, like from different perspectives. But after these two experiences, so I went to the US. And you know, during my path by being an entrepreneur, I wasn't, you know, like I was always looking at other entrepreneurs and seeing this, you know, this light that they had in their eyes whenever, like, they wake up every day and they are seeking for more, they want more, and they are only looking for this project that they have, and they
Yes, they
want to
are
make it,
obsessed
you
with
know,
that,
like
yeah.
really obsessed about their project, which is something I didn't have. I was just, you know,
You
like,
wake up thinking of what else can I do today? Right?
exactly. That's it. What else
I know
except
that.
these things
I can read
that
your
I've
mind.
already, yeah, yeah. I mean, you see it right. You see it right. You know, like having this lacking of this was for me, I wasn't questioning it a lot, because I didn't have the pressure. I was already, like, I was still at school, so there is no pressure of society or family that you need to make this project successful. It was working. I mean, actually, the second project was really quite working quite successfully. But then, after this class that I had at Berkeley called leadership for innovators, that I really enjoyed taking. So there's something that I learned about the first follower. So there's the leader, and then there's the first follower. And you know, that moment when the person that was giving the class said, like, defined the first follower, I could, you know, like, I could really you know, I was feeling that he was describing who I was and what I liked doing. So actually, just to give you an example, so the
Yes.
leader was
Yes.
the
Tell us
one.
what the first followers is,
So
actually.
so the leader is the when you're in, like, in a dance floor, right? And then there's, you know, like, very good music. I don't know what you like in terms of music, but yeah, let's say that it was like Rihanna, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So music, and then first person goes to the dance floor, but nobody follows the first person, okay? And then the moment there is a second person, which is the first follower, coming into the dance floor, then you have
Then,
everyone
yes.
joining. And there were a lot of like experiments, human experiments regarding this.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the power of the first follower is really something, because it's the person that will always be there for the leader, and that will bring everything around him to be successful. And I could really relate to that, right? So I loved, like, I love, you know, like, I love the idea of so I love seeing passionate entrepreneurs. I love seeing entrepreneurs driven by some fire, okay? And when I see them, I want to give everything to have them being successful. And that's actually, like what venture capitalists do. I mean, as a GP, you should be always there for your portfolio, bringing them all the resources that they need to be successful, time, energy, to bring all the other persons around them. So that's how I learned that first. I want to be, I love being a journalist, and I embraced it, and that's exactly who I want to, I want to flourish this journalist side I have in me, right, and nourish it. And second is that, it's not that I'm not a leader, but I prefer more the position of a first follower, and it's being a leader also by itself, because you trust a person, as you're the first person trusting another, like, just solo person. So you're kind of taking a risk, and you're also being a leader by doing that. But I prefer more the time that I spend bringing like a lot of people around that person, and make it successful.
Wow, that's powerful. I think that, it's going to help a lot of people out there, because one of the things that I myself also struggled with is that I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I had the capability to do everything I wanted to do, or I put my mind to do. And therefore, I just spend a lot of my time exploring one thing after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. But what you just described, I wish somebody came into when I was still at university to tell us that there is such thing as first follower. I'll have definitely embarked on a career of becoming a first follower, because like you, I'm also a very early adopter. When anything happens that I'm interested in, it can be technology, it can be kind of personal development, it can be coaching, it can be marketing, it can be anything. When there is a new trend, I'm the first person to embark on that new trend. However, I get bored very quickly because something else comes that is new that I also want to explore, which means that I can't just focus in on one thing, every time. And even in my book, actually, that I wrote, Personal Branding in the Digital Age, in the pillar number 2, which is Master Your Expertise, I have recognized that me, myself, I'm somebody who have multiple expertise, multiple experience. So I call those people mimic. So multiple interests, multiple expertise and career. There are some people like that who can't just focus on one, and funny enough, I'm in marketing. When we understand the power of niching down, you have heard about that, right?
Yeah.
But that concept applied to myself is impossible to niche down because I know and love many things, many different things. The power that you've learned is to embrace that
Yeah.
as a strength, rather than what all the marketing and all the leadership kind of some kind of paradigm want to tell us, that we need to specialize in one thing, otherwise we're not going to be successful. But when you think about a lot of followers, first followers, even when you think of Steve Ballmer, I think he was the first follower of Microsoft, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you have that first follower who is behind somebody who is a visionary leader, as you say, who is that typical entrepreneur, the Richard Branson type of entrepreneur, who really, they, as you say, they wake up, they have one obsession, the Steve Jobs type of people, the Bill Gates, the Elon Musk, they have an obsession. Those are proper entrepreneurs who wake up and really pursue something relentlessly. You
Yeah.
want to make sure, if you are multiple skills, multiple interests, as I call them, to make sure that you find such people so then you can actually support them exactly as you did. And also, it doesn't have to be just a venture capitalist. There are all kind of range of ways of supporting that leader as first follower, right? You do that with the VC aspect, but somebody else will come as a COO, somebody will come as a CTO, somebody will come out something else. I just want to reassure people who are like us
Yeah, that they will find their place. But
that
also, there's some
there is hope.
there is hope. I mean, definitely, and you should create, I mean, this space for you where you can, like where you can achieve yourself as a generalist. Yeah, I advise on, like building your own path also, like when you feel that the market want to put you in a certain position,
Yeah.
or accept at the beginning, like sometimes I know that it's hard to wait, but sometimes when you're within a company, a small company, you can privilege like small companies because those don't have, like they will give you the space to do other things than just what you're asked to do because they need more people, they need more energy, and you got this energy as a journalist because you're always driven by the curiosity and the knowledge, and so as long as you have this, you will always give your time for that.
Yeah, I
But
love that.
anyway,
Driven by
yeah.
curiosity and knowledge. Yes.
Yeah, driven by curiosity and knowledge. And one last thing, Francine, about
Yeah.
the generalist is that even if you're a generalist, I think, and for myself, it's what I've been working on. You should be the best specialist in all the things that you will cover, So even if it's easier for you, for example, to for example, you see that within a company, the value chain or the UX experience of the user is not that good. So you're just like, okay, we can do this way. You're good at suggesting things,
Yeah.
right? And you can do it even if you don't have the right background for it.
Mhm.
But then you also need to be like humble enough to say, okay, I knew how to do it like level 0, let's say, but if I take the time to learn more a little bit about this specific area, then I will be able to give it like 10, like at a 10 on 10 level. And so imagine if you're able to be, like to do it in all the things that you're able to do like in a very just authentic way, just using like your like the different knowledge that you had and discussions and all that. But if you're able to be the best at every, I mean, of course you can't be the best and you will always need specialists, right? But if you can cover a maximum of your generalism side, why not? I mean,
Mhm.
seek always of learning, like to until the end of the path for every industry that you meet in your way.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Yes, thank you for this thing because I think that as a generalist, yes, what you are saying, the tendency may be that you just do surface level
Mm,
things, but you
yeah.
can go a little bit deeper and learn more what you need to learn to get to the next level of that. So you become like a specialist generalist.
You can add this one to your book, this new category of people.
you you are like specialist generally, so you don't just stick at the surface level, but you go deeper so you can add even more value, so you become even more valuable. And
Yeah.
I actually believe it's not because I'm generally so I'm a curious, but I believe that these days, the environment is more conducive for people who are generalists rather than specialists because as you say, we can connect things on a 360 level because one problem is not an isolated problem. It's like when I go to a GP, I don't know how it is in Morocco, but in the UK, when you go to a GP, you get to the GP. If you have like a problem at a knee, they send you to a specialist who look at that bit of knee. And then you have another problem with another thing, they send you to a specialist who look at the other piece. But actually, why can't we have something where we look at the person in a holistically rather than just a piece of this, just a piece? Because as a human body, we are all connected. Everything is interconnected. Business is the same, you know. If your marketing department is not working, perhaps it's not just marketing department. Perhaps it has something to do with another department that is not doing the work. I have got even this experience myself. The marketing department were having a big problem because the operation people were not delivering the thing they were delivering when actually the marketing people were getting people in, and the people get bad experience. They go, how do you want that to work? You have to fix everything, right? And as
Yeah.
generalists, you can actually look at that. You know, your brain works like a puzzle. You know that you can connect this and that and the other to make it better rather than people, as you say, we definitely specialists because they will go and see really, 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 really deep what's going on. But
Yeah.
we need also generalists to connect all those dots so that, specialists are even best with what they are doing. So, I love that actually. I didn't even think that this talk were going to take us there, but I think that is very important
Yeah.
because has been my passion for a long time. But again, unlike you, for many, many, many years, I felt like I have to focus on something
Mhm.
when actually I don't have to focus on something. I
No,
can
you
just
don't.
embrace all of these things that I'm passionate about and do something with that.
Exactly. And I think that you're doing it right now. I mean, by just, like inviting people, making them, like
Exactly. And
talk about
discovering
their
new
passion.
things.
Yeah.
Discovering, exactly. I'm being led by curiosity and knowledge.
Yes, you are. Yes.
That's
That's
what I
great.
love about the podcast. This is a podcast. I don't earn a penny of on the podcast, but I love bringing people to share new perspective and also share with other people, especially people who are looking to do meaningful work and live a meaningful life. Because when you have only one worldview, tell you that you have to specialize, but inside yourself, you know that there is something out there, but you don't know what.
Mhm.
Then listen to something like that may tell you, oh, I'm not by myself, right?
Yeah.
And there are other people also who are like me who have found successful things to do. And then you wake up. Now I'm sure that when you wake up, your eyes are bright like
Yes,
those
they do. Yes,
entrepreneurs, right?
they do. They do. But in a different way. But yes, I mean,
In a different way. But
yeah.
you wake up and say, "Ooh, okay, let's go and find some fun for my startup, or let's go and find who am I going to find today."
Yeah.
You find your spot. So that's really really wonderful. That is just the intro, though. So now tell us, Rita, all those passionate and all the multiple passion that you've got. Is there something that people don't know about you?
It's a hard one, right?
I know.
It's a hard one, but like something that people don't know about me. There are only few things I think that people don't know about me, and this might be very personal, but if I had something that might surprise or not, I don't know.
Okay.
You can't see it, like when you look at me, but I've been playing rugby for 2 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, and this is something not a lot of people know about me, but this have also, like this played a major role in reshaping my ability to say no. And
Interesting.
that
Tell
was
us
really,
how.
really impactful because like when you have an opponent, right? When you play rugby, you have the opponent. She has like 2 times your size, right? And the coach says, if you don't hit her first, she will hit you really bad. So you need to hit first, right? You don't have any other choice. And this ability to, like when you see something coming to you that you don't want, like something that you don't agree with, or something that will like not harm you, but it's not aligned with what you want. So being able to say no to this is really important. And I think that learning to hit first, let's say, in a very gentle way, was really helpful in, helping me become this person that knows today how to say no when something is off limits for me.
How would you say that your childhood has shaped who you are today in many ways? How did you grow up, and how, when you think in hindsight, how your sometimes we go, sometimes it may be that we rebel against our childhood, sometimes it's a continuation of our childhood. How is it shaped us? What is yours?
So first thing is that I'm the oldest girl. I have an older brother, but like it's 11 months, so I don't really consider that it's always a discussion at home, right? I don't consider that it's an older brother, but I do have two sisters, and I always felt like responsible for them. So in a group, you will always find me being the mommy of the group, right? Like always there, making sure that everyone is safe, making sure that we brought everything. So I think that this position I have, like in the family, gave me that, which is something that I, like it is what it is, even if I try to work on it, because sometimes you just want to enjoy without do a bit, like having to take care of everyone,
Everybody.
of everything. But yeah, I'm working on that one. Second thing I would say, my relationship with my father, because we always had like these very philosophical discussions, very early on my age. So I remember almost every night, like sitting with him, talking about everything, life. And I think it helped me really always take the time to question everything around me, but in a very, like very like not in a way where you want to find answers, but just questioning, just to make sure that you're not in like a very stable, just consuming the day to day without thinking about your objectives, or what you want to build, or who you want to be, what kind of person you want to like for people to remember, and all these things. And I can remember one night he came to me. I think it was right before I go to sleep, and randomly, he asked me a question. I was 11 or 12, I think. And he said, "What are your values?"
Mm.
Wow, that's a big one. I mean, what's the value? I mean, like I didn't even know
At
what was
11,
a value. I was
yeah.
11, yeah. I didn't know what was a value. I was like, okay, tell me, what are your values? I turned the question back to that, just to be able to, like have some keywords about
Yes.
what I should say. And I started saying that and that. And he was like, no, these are not values. I said, okay, give me some time. And when I will, take the time to think about it, I'll come back to you. And, because I had this relationship to that, I never, like I don't like disappointing him. So I really wanted to find the answer, and a very serious one, just not just throwing words to him. So one day, every Sunday we used to go with the dad and mom, and also my sisters, and like all the family. But one day I told them I want to have coffee with you. But a few weeks after that, just with you and mom, so I can share with you my values.
Mm.
And this girl, like 11, 12 old, she thinks that she found her values. Great. So, but what was interesting was really the like the weeks that I spent thinking about what was important for me, and I'm really grateful, because right now, like until now, I try to stick to these values. Not try to because when you say try to stick, means that these are not, like inherent in you, but just that sometimes life might push you to the
Yes.
extremes, and it's just important all the time
To
to come
come
back to
back.
these values.
Yes, of
And
course.
that's really important, because like your values are your anchor. And like there are a lot of situations, that I had in my life where you just don't know what to do. You're just lost, but then, like, going back to your values, okay, if when I have my mind, like when I'm all good and everything, these are the values that I set. and I try to stick to them when hard time come. So yeah, so that was really impactful.
So what are those values? You don't think that we're going to leave you like that without asking what are those values after all the speech
I
that
was
you've made?
hoping, Francine.
I'm interested to know them.
So first one is always sharing. So always sharing. You will always find me like, you know, like I share knowledge, I share moments, I like to share these, right? And I think that it's the best way to it's what makes me happy, right? So when I know that you know, in the streets I find someone homeless or whatever that just needs, you know, sometimes they don't need you to give them like money, they just need you to listen to them, they just need you to sit with them to make them feel that they are still like you know, like they were still like they have a worth, right? They exist. So these little things are very important for me. And in my work also, like I always share knowledge, I always share information, I always share connection, I always, you know, like just sharing, being there, sharing. I love that, and it's part of who I am. And even sometimes, you know, like in life when you meet you know, like other people that are different, they might push you to behave differently because you were like, hey, but I'm always there giving you, you know, like introducing you, giving you advice or whatever. And the moment I needed you, I didn't find you, that's fine, because when I share, I don't do it expecting you to share back. Okay, I just share because this is who I am. This is what I love. That's the first thing. Second thing is to never harm someone consciously. That's very important. That's very important. You know, like I don't like to, I don't like to, for example, to talk about people in their back. I don't like to, you know, the moment I sit with someone and if the conversation is just around like talking about this and that, say like, stop, like, I don't want to hear about that. That's, you know, I feel that talking about that will affect me, you know, like in a bad way, right? So I try to avoid everything that will have like bad energy
Karma.
around me.
Yes, bad energy and
Yeah,
bad
bad
karma
energy
around you.
around me. Yeah, I don't like that. And so why I gave this example, because sometimes you can like the softest way, let's say, that people consider harming another person is just like talking about them, right? Just I didn't say anything, I'm just talking about this person. But this can be harmful for that
Yes.
person that you're talking about. So that's the level zero of not being harmful.
No gossip tolerance. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't need this in your life. You have a lot of things to talk about, interesting things, nourishing things, positive things, you know? That's all I care about. And like the level 100 of harming someone is like, you know, you see something happening and I mean, it's important for me to and this is something I've worked on, is like when you see something happening that you're not okay with, you stand with the right person, right? So sometimes like when you're in front of a situation, and I was in that situation many times, where you have two people that you care about, and you know for sure that person A is, you know, like the one, like is the victim, let's say, in the situation. And even if you like both people, you should tell person B that what she's doing is completely wrong, and that's, you know, like you should stand by the right thing, not just being passive about the situation, saying that's not that I don't care, I mean, it's their problem, they can manage. No, it's important to, you know, like when it's right, it's right, when it's wrong, and you should stand by and say, you know, like who you are and who you think, what you think is right and wrong. So this is the second thing. And third thing is last one is humility. It's a very important one. I think that this one I wasn't really aware of it at the time. At least I wasn't calling it like that, because at 12 years old you can't call it humility. But with the time I understood that it's humility. You know, sometimes even if you did a lot of things, even if you accomplished a lot of things, or you spent some time in a lot of countries, you know, I like this moment when I meet someone that, you know, the person might underestimate you because, you know, you're 27, you're just 27, and they start talking about what they did, that, blah, 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 blah. And then you just throw some keywords, you know, and they're like, huh, you know, like it's more impactful when you don't talk about things, you know, like you don't talk all over the place about it and let it, you know, just put it in the right place in the right moment. I think it's the way I like to I like to live, you know, like I don't like to over sell everything or talk about all the things I did, because I believe that I still have a lot of things to accomplish and a lot of things to do. And when I sit with people, you know, that's made 100 times what I'm doing right now, and they are just humble, you know, they don't say anything. A few months ago, I met one of the first investors in eBay, right? you look at the person, you know, like he's just like very simple. And you know, it's how he gets like your like how you respect him more and more, right? It's not by saying, hey, I did that and that. No, it's just like by knowing it, you know, but just discussing with him. And this is how I want to be. I mean, who I am and who I want to stay, let's say.
Wow,
But
that's wonderful. I love that.
yeah,
First value was what was that again?
sharing everything.
Sharing everything. Second,
Is like not harming
having
consciously. Yeah,
other
it's very important.
people, and exactly. And the third one, humanity. Those are beautiful, beautiful
Yeah.
values. My gosh, wonderful.
Your
Now,
podcast is very personal, Francine,
I
right?
know, I know, but
You're making me say a
but
lot of
this
things.
actually, the reason I love understanding people's value is that even when I do my personal branding, the pillar number one is know yourself. And often than you think, people don't people don't know about their values.
Mm,
It is important that we are clear on our value,
yeah,
because that is what is going to drive how you do everything, how you decide, shall I do this or not? Because based on your value, if you want to be an impactful leader and you don't know your value, or you don't share your value, or some
yeah,
people know their value, say, "Oh, no, I'm not going to share." Hey, other people need to know what is driving you and what are your values,
of
so
course.
they know when you do something where you're coming from, right?
Yeah,
So this is where I'm thinking that one of the powerful thing is values,
yeah,
making sure that we have them, but we are very clear also how to even drive our team, infuse our value to our team as well, so that our team get those values. Because when you usually often see teams, dysfunctioning teams, they pick their value from, guess what? The leaders.
mm-hmm,
So you need to make sure that if you have
yeah,
values that are strong, rooted value, you share that with your team. You see how we can make things, so they can abide as well, and they can function also with your value as a
yeah,
leader.
yes,
So very, very important. Wonderful. Now let's talk about your venture, which
yeah,
we haven't talked about yet. So, you started actually Kalys Venture, in Morocco. And first of all, you wanted to focus on women. It was a women-led venture. But then you realized women in Morocco, actually, that this is what you wanted to do. Then you realized that there were not enough investable women in Morocco. And
yeah.
then you opened that to men. And then finally, you opened that to Africa. Tell me from your perspective, because this is one thing that I've noticed, because I've looked at the barometer, the latest the statistic of Mastercard's index of women entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
which show Botswana, as a lead country when it comes to women entrepreneurship, followed by South Africa, Nigeria, Madagascar, and Morocco comes quite low. Tell me, what do you think? Why there's not enough investable women funders in Morocco, from your perspective?
Yeah, of course. But before that, I just wanted to add something about Kalys Ventures and my journey in Kalys Ventures. So,
Mhm.
as I told you, like, okay, we talked about my past experiences, and during a short period of time, I mean, it lasted 18 months, but I was doing consulting, okay, for individuals in different industries, and one of the consulting missions that I had was with my current co-founder, which is Selma. So she has her investment bank, and she wanted to work together in some projects, and then she wanted to launch Kalys Ventures. So she had already the LP that wanted to invest in the fund. But she just wanted, I mean, she just needed this second co-founder and partner that will, like grow with her this journey. So I joined her and we built Kalys Ventures together. That was just because I think that since the beginning we were talking about maybe the fact that I was maybe the only one in the adventure, but we are two and we built this together. And the idea at the beginning was to invest in female founders in Morocco, as you said. And you shared with me some figures. I don't know if these statistics include like startup founders or SMEs founders, because I guess that it will be a little bit different, right? Because in some regions in Africa, it is known that women are more, like entrepreneurial than men, in terms of, like they
Yeah.
need to take care of their families, and even if the man he doesn't work, or he's addictive, or he has some problems. So we have more like small businesses, cooperatives built by women. And I think that's how like the numbers go quite high in some regions, more than others. But I don't know if there are some statistics that just take into account startup founders.
Startups. Okay.
Yes,
I think the statistic from MasterCard might be women are entrepreneurs in yes, it's women entrepreneurs. It's not just startups.
well, yeah, okay, so it's
Yeah.
in all the
Yeah.
fields. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know who is coming as a leader startup? Is it South Africa or something?
Well, I can't tell, but I can't tell like in like what are the countries where you have women-led founders, but I guess that this will be, maybe correlated to also the number of startups in every country. And as we know, so you have the four big players, right? Nigeria,
Yes. South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, and
Egypt,
what is the fourth one again?
Egypt. And Morocco
Yeah.
was the fifth one based on the
Really?
Bartek report in 2023. So we
Oh.
were the fifth one in terms of
But
amount.
that includes men, though. In startup, those
Yes,
include men, so
yes,
it's not
and
women.
that's
And then
yeah,
when you look at how
yeah,
many women, then that's where
that
you don't
yeah.
have anybody
So
anymore.
yeah, and that's why I said like it's correlated, right? Like it might be correlated the number of women startups compared to the number of the global startups that you have in a country. But no, I don't have a statistic. But if we go back to so the question was what's the reason, right, behind
There's not enough investable founders in Morocco.
Yeah. So the idea was that when we started the fund, it was in 2021, right? So 2021, we started the fund. The ecosystem wasn't as mature as today. Even today, like we think that it's the beginning of, like having a clean, let's say, ecosystem. And when I talk about clean, it's more in terms of alignment about what's the definition of a startup, what's a good founder, what are investors, what are the expectations, right? The expectations of investors. Do we have international investors or just local investors? So we are starting to have like it's the start of the ecosystem, right? It's in 2024, 2023, let's say. And in 2021, it wasn't mature yet. So it wasn't just about women founders, but also male founders. I mean, it was the same level for both. But we could see, so for example, we had some women founders that were in the same level of maturity as and founded, or both of them in the same process. They started at the same time, both early stage startups. But then the men will be more, from what we're seeing, right? The man will be more, like he's more confident about his project, and even if he knows that it's the early stages of it, but he sells it as something that will happen. This is what I. So it says this is the vision, this is what we want to build, and we know for sure that we will make it happen. So now give us the money so we can make it happen. When sometimes for women we were more having answers like, we think that we are not ready yet to raise money, right? We think that let's give us some time to prepare this and that and that and that. So it was more, like looking for the perfect deck, perfect business plan, perfect vision to sell. And I think that's where the difference is. And not only in Morocco, I think this is we go back to the general problem of like the gap between men and women in the society. And when we go back to again like some I think that there are a lot of sociologists and people that work on the field, and it goes back to education, it goes back to like unconscious biases that we see in the society. It goes back to all that, but it doesn't mean that we don't have great founders in like women founders in Morocco. We start having like amazing enterprises built by women. We do have for example Sand to Green, we have Ellen Cow, we have other startups that are like that shows today that there is no difference between the men and the women, and that women can also build like great enterprises. And in fact, when you look at the statistics, when you have women like in on board, like they can be co-founders or they can be founder themselves, they are more like the results are more interesting, like higher. They are higher than when you have 100% of men. But I guess that it's the power of diversity. It doesn't mean that like women by themselves can be better than men, or that men can be better than women. I think we need both to take great decisions. Some are more rational than others, and others are also more emotional. So I think that you need these both skills to make great decisions. And by the way, even if we didn't invest in women at the time, not because we didn't want, but because, you know, like we had a deal flow, we had an LP, I mean, like a private LP. It wasn't an institution that was looking for having an impact. So we needed to be driven more by also the direct, let's say, financial return on investments. Not only, but we couldn't like prioritize investing in women than looking for this very important let's say like KPI for our investor. But anyway, what we did is that when we invest, we try to help the company also, like the companies that where we invest in have a kind of like a diversity, right? So let's talk about the first startup that we have invested in, Logidu. So now they have almost a 50-50 like parity in their in the company. And we were also very happy to see that the new COO was a woman, right? So even in the top management, not only in the executive jobs. So we try to push it first because we are two women GPs and we want to empower other women to be also to trust themselves and be successful in their journeys, but also because we believe that this will have a direct impact on also the financial results on the company.
Yeah. Can you, for people who are not, don't know the jargon between GP and LP, can you
Yeah.
briefly define what GP is and what is LP?
Of course. So the way a fund is structured, usually you have, so the LP is a limited partner, so it's the investor, the one who got the money, and he will invest in a company that will manage his funds, right? And so within this company that will manage his funds, you will have general partners. So these are the ones that take care of the day-to-day of the investment, also of managing the relationship with the founders, of creating the value even with the LP if he wants. But yeah, so this is the difference between both. So LP is the one bringing money, GP is the one managing the funds.
Okay, that's very interesting because usually people say that, they want to become investor, but they don't have money. So you don't have like 1 billion in your bank account right now, right? To invest, right? So you're taking somebody else's money.
I wish, I wish I had $1 billion in my account, but I don't have $1 billion in my accounts. And your question was how do you find these investors?
Yes.
So yeah, so in our ecosystem, so in venture capital, you see a lot of like different ways of being an investor. So you can whether build your own community of like small investors that want to like they have some savings and they want to invest it in venture capital or in startups in general, and you build a syndicate about around like every fundraising that you want to support. So let's say that you're Francine, okay, you love this ecosystem of startups, you believe in that, but you don't have the money, and also you don't want to structure your fund in a very like institutional way, let's say. So what you will do is that you have this ecosystem network of business angels. You have a deal flow coming, and you share this deal flow with your network. And let's say that the startup wants to raise $1 million, but you can only cover $200,000 with this network of investors. So you will come in, okay? But when you go and see the startup doesn't want to deal with 50 business angels that you have in your network. So what you will do is that you will create what we call an SPV, special purpose vehicle, where you will like bring all these people around one under one entity, and you will invest in this startup. And the way you get paid, because you will spend time doing sourcing, deal flow, sourcing, due diligence, and also closing negotiations, but also managing after the closing. So the way it works is that you get also some management fees. So it's a percentage of the total funds that are raised. The management fees when you do it through an SPV are higher than when you do it through an entity like we do it right now. So it's around 5 to 7%. That's what you see in the market. So yeah, this is how you can do it in a very small way. But then if you want to raise a $50 million fund, for example, so you as a GP behave as a startup because you go and pitch other investors, right? So you need to convince them that you have the right investment pieces, that you are the right team to make it happen, and that you have already done it before. Like,
yeah,
I mean, like de préférence, right? Like
preferably,
yeah,
yes.
it would be good to show that you were able to do it before. But if not, you just do as we did. So you start by a small fund where you show your ability to do all these steps, and then go for fundraising to raise like a bigger fund. And right now, by the way, we will start our second fundraising. So that's why I say like we are just like a startup, you know, you go and you pitch, and there are different LPs that you pitch to. They are all different because, for example, if you go and talk to DFIs like the Bird, like the African Bank of Development and all these, you know that the process is long because you need the intro and then share with them what you want to build first. You know, it takes around 18 to 24 months to close with the DFI. And then you have other type of investors that are more private. You can go and talk to family offices, you go and talk to fund of funds, you go and talk to different types of investors, and each of them has his own you know, like KPIs and what is, you know, like what drives him and objectives also. So you need to adapt your not your investment pieces, because this one is the core and it can change based on who you're talking to, and also because most of the time you end up with different players from different segments in your fundraising, so you can't have different investment pieces, but at least what you will show in terms of impact, you know, for example, DeFi's will be more driven by the you know, like the
social impact or something like
yeah, the
that.
SDG, yeah, the
Yes,
SDG,
SDG,
right?
yes.
When a corporate will be more interested in the direct impacts on his business, and you know, it's just like it's a different way of presenting it.
Yeah. But I'm wondering, since obviously when you invest, the return on investment is not before sometimes, how do you make money then? As
So
a
the
GP?
so as a GP, you said, sorry, was it, or
Yes. So because you get, of course, I get like you get the transaction fees, a percentage of those transaction fees. Is it how you until you get like a unicorn coming from your startups, or how does it
so
work?
yeah, so how it works. So when you that's a good question. And at the same time, you see that you know, like people in these spaces are the ones that are supposed to be paid the most. So you're like, from where do they get their money, right?
Mhm.
So the way it is, right? And why I think that even if I'm a first follower, right, with my startups, I think that it's also an entrepreneurial journey, right?
Yeah.
Because you start from nothing. You start from not nothing, because you have some basis, right? But you need to build on these bases, and you build on these by first your ecosystem, including your co-investors, the incubators, accelerators, startups that you invest in, right? So all these are your asset. This is your asset as an investor. And the more you spend time in the industry, the better you need to get in, you know, like improving this asset. You need to build it in a good way. So you need to show that, so you need to always be helpful with your co-investors and other investors in the ecosystem, sharing deals, giving your point of view about what you think about this industry, that industry, this startup, this founder, and all that. With your incubators and accelerators partners, you need to be, you know, like respectful about the effort that they make to always share with you deal flow and facilitating relationship and all that. With founders that you invest in, you need to show the value that you were able to bring, and also show how this value was, how these efforts are impacted directly in the business of the company in terms of change of strategy, in terms of improvement of the EBITDA, in terms of opening of new countries and these things like that. So why I'm saying that? I'm saying that because you can build your first fund, but it doesn't mean that you will be able to move to the next one. And your first fund, and as I told you, because the management fees are usually enough for you to pay like whatever size of team you need to achieve that. Because for example, if you have a $2 million fund, you won't need a lot of people, right? So you will have enough money to cover your costs for like 5 years, and this is the period of time of a fund. So that's enough. But then you know that right before the 5 years, so let's say the end of the third year, beginning of fourth year, you need to go and seek for a new fundraising for your fund. But if you didn't do a good job during the 3 first years, right, with all these partners, co-investors, startups of your portfolio, then it will be hard for you to prove your ability to, you know, like for other people to trust you and give you more money to manage more. And that's why I'm saying that, because your question was, how do you make money? You make money with the management fees. Management fees are enough for you to, you know, like build a great fund, but not for many years, and not most of the time, not, you know, like for example, the period of time of a fund is 5 years, but then your exit maybe, you know, like the exit of your whole fund might be after 10 years. So you won't be able to touch, like to be paid by what we call the carried, because in the way GPs get paid are first the management fees, and second the carried interest that you negotiate with the LP. So the carried is so everything you for example, let's say that you promise to your investor a certain ROI, right? Return on investment on his fund. Everything that is like beyond, like above that, you get 20% of it. So you get 20%, and that's how you get like the maximum value of your let's say time and energy that you spent with the startups. So yeah, I hope it's clear.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Exactly. So as we were talking, I was just wondering, are there a lot of failure in terms of VCs as well? Because of course we understand, we all know about the rate of failure when you're an entrepreneur. But I suppose, as I'm understanding that there may be also quite a lot of failure in terms of VCs, right? Or
yeah, I mean there are a lot of success you can talk about, and also just like everything, you have failure and success, and then you have the mix of both. Is that on your in your portfolio you have some startups that fail and others that succeed, but if at the end the startups that succeeded were able to cover the cost of those that failed, plus even help you get your carry, then you're the happiest investor in the world. But of course, you're even the happiest when everything goes well, right?
I was thinking, since the fund last 5 years, if you're not able to re-raise the fund, then your first startup that are going to give you return in 10 years, how do you make sure that you cover the next 5 years to see some exit from your startup?
And that's no. So your question is, how are you able to convince other investors to join you when
that was the first one.
you did exit yet? Yeah. So that's why sometimes, so we have two ways of doing it, right? So even whether you start doing your fundraising, and you see that whatever value you were able to bring to the startups that you have was enough for you to convince the investors, then they know that you will be doing a great job, bringing more value to other companies. Because, for example, you are always there for them. It is known that in the ecosystem that you will give them all the connections that you have. Even some potential LPs see you trying to connect them with these startups, but not for investment, but just for some, sharing expertise and sharing their network. So they see that you care about these startups, right? But not just caring, because you can just care but not have
not doing anything.
impact, right? On the
Wake up in the morning, go and just have coffee and caring.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Not just being there talking about their personal stuff, but also being there and bringing real value, as I said, that have a direct impact on the business. And also, when you're in this ecosystem, you know who are the champions, let's say, the ones that you hear a lot about, the ones that you see on the news, right? And if they know that you were part of these journeys early on, and that you were supported even before these startups become successful, then they're like, okay, you didn't do exits yet, but we think that we don't need to see that happening. We think that you'll be able to do just like that with other startups. Versus the investors say, we think that what you did is not enough, and also because there are other investors, other GPs, other funds that have this, expertise and exits. Maybe we will prioritize them for now, waiting for you to get your exit. So one of the ways that you can find is maybe look for a new partner that you will recruit, and that have this track record of exits, and that was able to do it in his previous fund, right? So this is something also you can bring to the table to complete, let's say, your management team and team of partners.
Fascinating. I love that. Fascinating. So tell me, one of the biggest, I know that you haven't exited yet, but one of the big success you've seen for you on this journey of VC, and then one of your big challenge actually that you've seen already in this journey of becoming a VC.
So so I can choose just one success over the startups that we have invested in. So of course, I didn't talk about maybe just a quick word about our investments. So we have invested so far in 6 startups in different industries, very different industries and different areas in the world. And so we started investing 2 years ago. So of course, I won't be able to, share the ones I will be able to share success about are the ones I've invested in early on, right? 2 years ago, let's say, when we started investing. But I think also that they are all doing amazing work, but also they all have their own challenges, because it will be life. I say that startup journey is filled with just success. I mean, we do have sometimes bad days, right? And that's why your role as a first leader is interesting, because I mean, at least when they ask for help, you know that you can be there for them, and that you can help them overpass these hard times. But in terms of success, I would say first, so if I talk about the first startup that we have invested in, so for me, I call it a success because we were able to change like the not the vision of the founder, because that's not what we did, but in the contrary, like we helped him achieve his vision, because like his vision was so big when he was trying to think about it by himself alone, that he couldn't structure it in a very aggressive way and say I can do it in a more complete way. So just to give you an example, he was so when we invested, we were only doing one service, versus right now, like we have the driver, what we call the North Star, that drives the company. And then you have all the value added services around that make the service more complete, and that drives the whole company. So I call it a success because I'm really happy, because first time we talked with the founder, I remember I spent like 4 hours in the phone, right? Just talking about his vision, what he wants to build. And it wasn't even the purpose of the call, but it's where it took us. And knowing that after a year and a half, we were able to, like make it happen and bring it to life, for me, I call it a success. Another success for me is that, so the second startup that we have invested in, and that's the last one I will give, so I won't take a lot of time covering this part. But what I call success is that the second startup that we have invested in is working. I mean, they built a technology to serve private and public transports. And so I'm really happy to say, I'm proud to say that this solution is right now serving an underserved population. So what sociologists call like the bottom of the pyramid. I don't like to call it like that, but so people who, like didn't have a great experience in their mobility, and today, thanks to this app, they have access to the time of arrival of the bus, and also they can book their tickets online, they can buy their subscription also online, or in any point of sale that we have partnered with. So for me, like facilitating the life of like these people, I call it also a success.
That's beautiful. Wow. Okay, so now, yeah, those are really nice success, because without you, this is also what I call success. But that means without you, this will never, or it may have come to life, but perhaps at a later stage. So you kind of facilitate all those new services to get, to start making a difference. So
Well,
obviously, I know that all of those cannot happen as a bliss, and then there's always some challenges. What would you say were like some biggest challenge that you've encountered already?
yes, but before that, sorry again for the time, because I'm always, like I don't like to, for
You want to be complete. You want to
yeah, I want to complete
bring
just
some
one
more.
thing.
Okay,
Yeah, just one thing that, like, of course, like we did that, but I like in terms of investments, we never invest alone, so we always do it with other co-investors that also like bring the same energy, the same like time for these founders. So this is not something that I consider we did like I just did just by myself, because I just came in and I did that and that. No, I think it's a collective work, and I think that it's important to say it.
Okay.
So it's a collective work, like with both like investors, but also the recruitments that we did, the people, the key people within the companies that were really like they give everything for their journey. So really thankful about that. But and again, like we are not, or I'm not the only one bringing this value.
Yeah.
It's really a collective work.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is that, yes, this is about a team's efforts. It's not just, simply, bringing the fund, but, there has been quite a lot of different factors to make
Yeah.
this a success.
Yes,
Definitely get it.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. And also because like in venture capital, you have small teams. Most of the time, you have teams of 3 to 4 people. And like what I always consider is that we all. So when we co-invest together in company, or even before co-investing, if we are just looking at deals together, I always consider that it's like co-workers. I don't consider them just as other people looking at other stuff, but really, really like as co-workers, because it's a small ecosystem. So
Yeah. That means that when you have to take any decision, you all get together to actually work together to make some
exactly,
kind of decisions to move forward.
exactly.
Okay,
So
cool.
failures, right?
Yeah. Let's tell us about some failures.
Failures. So I can tell you that. So I have a lot of moments of failures in when I help founders, and I
I
consider
don't actually, let me reword this. I also don't like failure as a word. It's much more like challenges, because
that's what I
until
was
it's
gonna.
not completed, it's
Yeah.
not a failure. So for me, it's like challenges, right?
Yeah. No, but so like the way I expressed it was also a way for me to say that I don't mind calling it a failure, right? Because I don't, because it's never I always change it into something positive, right? So when I call it failure, like every time I'm not able to help a startup in a specific area because I don't understand, you know, like, or I don't really, like, I'm not a specialist, right? So I cannot help the founder in that specific area. But what I try to do all the time is to find the right people, helping them over past these difficulties, right? So we had a lot, for example, in the bank industry, because we have invested in a startup. So we had to so the fintech industry is very regulated, right? So we had to like work on a license to have it, right? But I wasn't like, you know, I'm not as I'm not a specialist in that, I wasn't able to say exactly to the founders what are the steps that they need to follow to make it happen. But it took me some time before like finding the right people that will have them find the right path to build this license and to have it. And you know, it's just like these kind of examples. But other failures are more, let's say, private. I guess you know, like I can't really share them when I say private. Like they're you know, it belongs to the founders, so I'm not I cannot share them or talk about them. But the ones that are related to me and to the effort that I make and to my journey with the founders, I would say that every time I feel I cannot help them in a specific area, I just feel I don't feel great, let's say. But I'm working on that so that I don't take it personally, because it's hard to not take it personally when you're not able to save, especially when you have this syndrome of savior, right? You always need to be there and play this role, you know, of a savior. Right? So when you're not able to do it, you just feel that you don't have any added value anymore, right? But it's not right to see it this way, because you were able at the end to bring the right people and help them.
Yeah, wonderful. So tell me, just and then we're going to get to the last part. Before to get there, as an aspiring entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur in Africa, because your specific ventures are based in Africa, right?
Yeah.
So if I want, you know, I'm there and I'm not totally sure what to do, how to pitch to an investor. I'm not sure if I'm ready to get an investor. What kind of advice would you give to entrepreneurs who are really looking to make a significant impact, but perhaps may not have finds any kind of perhaps great idea yet, or perhaps they have some idea, a seed of idea, but need some fund? As an entrepreneur and investor, how would you advise those people to make an impact?
Well, that's the answer to this one might be long, but I will try to be really short. Because
Bullet points.
yeah, bullet points. First of all, first big one, like first of all, I think that a founder, that doesn't have an idea, and that's my own perspective. It might not be something that should be, you know, like generalized, but for me, like a founder that doesn't have an idea, but he just knows that he wants to be an entrepreneur. There are two types. So first one is the one that just came out of school, right, and wants to be an entrepreneur, but he doesn't know what he wants to do. So for this one, I suggest maybe he can first try and join a startup and see what it is, and understand, and be like you know, like have a role model in this startup, see how the founder behaves and all that, and then you can launch your own startup. Because for me, it's like the industry expertise is really, really important. And if you don't have this industry expertise and you don't have the startup skills, I'm sure if you launch just a normal company, you'll be able to just make some, you know, you'll be able to make some money. And there are probably some outliers there that are, you know, that are just out of school and that are able to launch big things. But I think it's important to whether have the industry expertise or have some skills that you might have learned during your journey. Not specifically at school, but because you worked doing some consulting or doing some digital things, or you're also an engineer, so you have these development skills. You might launch your company and test it. But then, like, I believe more in the industry expertises, like people who spent like 10 years in the fintech industry and wants to now to launch their own fintech. Boom, we want to invest in them, right? And it's not hard for them also to convince investors. So it's easier for an industry expertise, like an industry expert, sorry, to raise funds just based on a business plan, than for someone who just like wants to be an entrepreneur but doesn't have an idea, right? So first situation, best one, your industry expertise expert, you want to launch your own startup. It's you just need to maybe talk about your idea to some investors and to some people who did what you want to build in other countries, so that they are not afraid of you being like a potential competitor. Even if like I see today even some like players that like talk to their own emerging competitor in the same country, and they don't mind about it, like so don't be afraid of talking to whether like founders that are in the growth stage, founders that are in the early stage also, but more interestingly, investors. That's first thing. Second, you have those founders that you talked about that don't have an idea. So I don't understand being like a founder and not having an idea. For me, like I've seen some.
Let's give you a perspective. Let's say that this person or those people have like a good background, they have done quite a lot. They really want to make an impact, but not totally sure, how to do that.
So I think the best way to do it is really to talk to a lot of founders and entrepreneurs in the growth stage in their own industry, because as you said, like they have a certain expertise, and the best way for them to have this impact is by using their own expertise. So it can be even like an industrial expertise, then like they have been working in the agriculture space, or they have been working in the fintech space, and now they want to build something with it. So best way is to read some sectorial reports about what's happening in this industry. There are a lot of McKinsey reports, or even NGO reports that talks about like the whole value chain in that industry, how is it disrupted. And so based on that, he will be able to see where exactly he sees like his impact. And then after that, the next step would be to define who are the key entrepreneurs in these fields and go and talk to them, or who are the investors that have invested in these companies, and go and talk to them. So this is for me like one of the best ways to better understand where exactly you want to have an impact in your own field. Versus you have the other type of expertise that is more like vertical, and more like, they say, you have a technical expertise, you're a developer, and you want to now to build your own startup. So, or join even in that venture, because you don't really care about the industry as long as you have an impact, right? So you can whether go and so there are a lot of startup studios or venture builders that are looking for CTOs in the team, right? So they give you they give you shares, but these are like vested shares. You should stay for like at least a certain amount of time within a company, and you behave as a CTO. You're paid. You don't take so sometimes they don't pay you until you raise, but at least you're in the context, right? You're not just by yourself, not having an idea, not having a team. You just go, everything is set up. You have a founder, a great one that was selected by the startup studio, and you just launch also your entrepreneurial journey. Versus like you can go and also talk directly to solo founders. I do know lots of solo founders that are just looking for co-founders, serious ones, and with strong abilities, but the main thing that they expect from you is really to commit. Commitment is very important. And I think that for someone who have never been an entrepreneur before, you might think that this is just something that you will test for a few months and then after leave. No, you cannot. I mean, the moment you decide to do it, you should commit and be there until the end, and like fight
until the end. You're married and come.
Yeah, you're married. I mean, there's no comeback. You can't go and talk to your dad and mom and say,
allowed. No divorce allowed. You are committed to say that.
No divorce allowed. Exactly.
Oh, that is so fantastic, Rita.
Yeah.
Really comprehensive answers to, my question, to all the scenario, the young and the kind of more experienced person. Very, very useful.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the last part, which is the 3M. This podcast is all about doing meaningful work and live a meaningful life. So in terms of meaning, what gives you meaning in life?
Helping others.
Helping others.
Yeah, helping others. That's how I feel alive. I mean, that's how I feel that, my print is there, because when you help person A, person B, person C, you know that, like you have impacted A, B, C, and that tomorrow when you won't be here anymore, at least your impact will still be there. So yeah, so helping others is for me number one.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful. So now let's talk about money. So let's say that you have £1 billion today, which is, I don't know if you could transfer that into dirham, how much it is.
Yes, it will be fine.
It's a lot, yes.
Yeah.
What would you do with that, and how would you spend your days?
$1 billion. That's a lot.
That's not dollars. £1 billion. That means $1.3 billion. Even
Well,
more than $1 billion.
it's still more than 1 billion. I mean, 1 billion was
Exactly.
too much, but 1.3 is even too much. But yeah, what would I do? I think that I would spend my time. So I would have a big campus, right? For first a big campus where you will have different things. So you will have the, like, of course, a place for entrepreneurs, because we don't want to, you know, just use that money for day-to-day life or for my hobbies. You also want to make it like you know, like beneficial.
Investments.
Yeah, it's an investment. I mean, that's what I do. So why would I stop doing what I
You
do?
start doing some investment with that, of course.
Yeah, even with my money, I mean, it's even funnier and also better when it's your own money, because you gotta choose like the even if it's also the case today, like you choose the founders that you want to work with and the companies that make you dream. So I want to do it in a very, you know, like at a very scalable level. So I want to and in Africa more specifically. So I will have, yeah, this campus where you will have this place for entrepreneurs where they have their dream life. Okay, so they have the best place for them to experiment and grow their companies there. But also another place that is full of you know, different like different NGOs operating for like so the like first there's a cause that is very that I'm like care a lot about is like orphans. So for me, like they need to have all the, you know, the care that and the love that they didn't have. I mean, that they don't have because they, for any reason, they don't have their parents. And for me, a life without love is a very hard life to live, because it's what, you know, drives you and gives you the feeling to feel alive, right? To feel the connection, to feel important things for you. So I would be like their dream life also there with I don't know if I would give them like a mom to each, but this won't make a lot of sense. Maybe connect like this child with a mom that can't have child, right? So yeah, that would be one thing. And the second thing, the third thing, sorry, that I will have in this campus is a big place where everyone I love is there. I mean, all the time, like all my family, for them to all grow there. So always be together and taking care of them. And yeah, so this is what I would do if I had like $1 billion.
Oh, that is wonderful. I love that. I'd like to come and visit you in that campus too.
Please come. Okay, I'll add a place for you, Francine.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so tell me, Rita, how do you want to be remembered for? I know that you are very young and you still have a zillion years to live, but you
Well,
know, if
we
you
don't we
want
don't know that. We don't know that.
exactly, you don't know that, you know. So how do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for as someone who was always there for the ones that needed her. So that's what I want to for people to remember. That like I don't want for someone who to think that like he needed me once and I wasn't there. It's important for me to know that I responded present to everyone who needed me, and I was there for them, and I did everything I could to help them during their phases. So
That is beautiful. That's
yeah.
beautiful. So knowing what you know now,
Yeah.
what is your parting advice for those looking to do meaningful work and live a meaningful life?
Be yourself. Be yourself and look for yourself also. Like I think that we all like underestimate the power of taking care of our soul and also discovering our soul, because we think that I think that a lot of us like just consume who we are without like trying to understand who we really are, right? Like questioning all the time, what do we like? Why do I behave like that? How do I feel right now? Why do I feel like that? You know, like why am I angry? Why am I happy? You know? So the best advice for me to like find yourself and to be authentic is really to take the time you need to discover who you are and who's inside you. I mean, who you really are. That's really what helped me find my. I mean, I'm not saying that I found my path, because it's, you know, like it's a journey, and it's
Of course, yeah.
you know, it takes time, and I'm sure that maybe in 10 years I will have something different that drives me. But right now, today, I know what it is, because I'm grateful of like because I took the time to reflect on all that. So really
That's
take the time
beautiful.
to think about it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, really having this exam in life, knowing who we are, very, very important. For me, is
Yes.
also one of the biggest thing. My life purpose, actually, to help people find who they are. And that is really, really beautiful. So thank you so much. But before we go, actually, how can people reach you and learn more about you and your work, Rita?
I'll be very happy. I mean, I'm very active on LinkedIn, so I'll be very happy to connect with every founder, every person looking for his path, or just like a very casual discussion. I'll be very happy to take that on LinkedIn. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Rita, for really
Great.
this brilliant conversation and the work
Oh,
that
thank
you're
you,
doing,
Francine. Thank you for your
And yeah, go on. Yeah.
No, thank you for your questions. Also, I think that I felt that I had like like a session with like a therapist, right? Really, like I felt that I opened up a lot. I don't know how you did that, but thank you for your questions. And I think that they were really I think that you took the time to read certain things about what I did so far, and your questions were really like like to the point, and you pointed out very important things that marked me in the way. So thank you for that, and I hope that this will help other generalists, as you said, like find their path, their ways, and also other people get into venture capital maybe, or other people just like anchor into their values. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your, kind word as well, because again, this conversation is really important for me as well. And really connecting with, leaders on a mission, as I'm calling this, is very important. And I'm sure that is going to inspire more than one person. Even if it's one person that inspires that, that will be great. So, and it will
Yes.
be mission accomplished for both of us. Thank you
Exactly.
again so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Francine. Take care of you,
Thank
and
you.
see you very soon. Hopefully, not in 4 years, right?
Yeah, I know.
And not in Royal, maybe in Morocco, hopefully. So see you very
Def-
soon.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Did you like this conversation? What was your key takeaway about this episode? So let me know in the comment below, and make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube so you don't miss any episodes. And to hear more incredible stories and get the show notes and other free resources, visit francinebeley.com/podcast. That's Francinebeley.com/podcast. And I will see you next week for another episode of Meaningful Work, Meaningful Life podcast. Until then, dream, act, and make an impact. Lots of love.